The Los Angeles Lakers opened their playoff series against the Minnesota Timberwolves on Saturday night, and it did not go as planned. In front of a packed home crowd, filled with hope and anticipation, the Lakers came out of the gate strong, looking like the team everyone expected them to be. The first quarter, solid. Energy was high. Execution was sharp. Fans were loud. It felt like LA was ready to make a statement. But then, something changed. As soon as the second quarter began, it was like a completely different team took the floor. The effort, gone. The focus, missing. And the Timberwolves, they took full advantage of it. Minnesota flipped the switch and absolutely dominated the Lakers for the rest of the night. Leave your like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. What started as a promising performance quickly turned into a disaster. Turnovers piled up. Defensive rotations broke down. The Timberwolves were hitting shots, playing physical, and pushing the tempo, while the Lakers looked flat-footed, disconnected, and overwhelmed. And LeBron James? He wasn't having it. After the game, the four-time NBA champion addressed the media, and he didn't hold back. "I don't think we did a good enough job after the first quarter," LeBron said, shaking his head with clear frustration. That one sentence says it all. And coming from a leader like LeBron, who's played in over 280 playoff games, it means something. He's seen what it takes to win in the postseason, and whatever the Lakers brought to the court after that first quarter, it wasn't it. Let's be clear, this wasn't just a bad shooting night or a case of one or two guys underperforming. This was a full team breakdown. And it happened on their own home floor. By halftime, the Timberwolves had seized control. And by the third quarter, the game felt out of reach. The Lakers never recovered from the beating they took in that second quarter. Minnesota built a lead, gained confidence, and just kept pushing. The Lakers couldn't respond. And now, instead of holding an early series lead and defending home court, the Lakers are suddenly trailing 0-1. And worse, they've given up home court advantage to a team that's young, hungry, and playing with something to prove. As for LeBron, he finished the night with 19 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. Statistically, not a terrible game. But something was off. He didn't have that signature LeBron takeover moment. That fire. That presence that usually shifts the momentum in crucial playoff moments. And that's not to say this is all on LeBron, not even close. The entire team looked like they weren't ready for the moment. The bench provided little spark. And defensively, the Lakers gave up too many easy looks, letting Minnesota find a rhythm early and never breaking it. Still, LeBron being LeBron, he's already thinking ahead. And he believes this loss might be exactly what the Lakers needed to wake up. "Maybe it took us one playoff game to understand the level of intensity and physicality they're going to bring," he said. "That's just how they play. We need to be ready for that by Tuesday night." And he's right. The Timberwolves brought the fight, and the Lakers didn't match it. That can't happen again if Los Angeles wants any chance of taking this series. Game 2 is now a must-win. Not just to even the series, but to stop the bleeding and regain some confidence. Because if Minnesota takes a 2-0 lead heading back to their home court, the Lakers could find themselves in a hole too deep to climb out of. And let's not forget, this isn't just about one series. This is about legacy. This is about LeBron James, at 40 years old, still carrying the weight of expectations. Still being asked to do more. Still being the one who has to call out his team when things fall apart. This is also about urgency. The clock is ticking. Every game matters. Every possession counts. So what happens next? Will the Lakers respond? Will LeBron rise to the moment once again and put the team on his back? Will the role players bring the energy, the hustle, the toughness that was missing in Game 1? Because here's the truth. The Timberwolves aren't going to slow down. They've smelled blood. They've taken Game 1 in enemy territory. And now they're ready to push even harder. The Lakers, they have a choice. Bounce back or break. Game 2 is on Tuesday night. And it might just define the rest of this series. Austin Reaves had one of the most impressive and consistent breakout seasons in the entire 2024-25 NBA calendar. In his very first year as a full-time starter for the Lakers, he didn't just improve, he transformed. He broke personal records, led the team in key moments when LeBron James and Luka Doncic were out, and established himself as a vital piece in the Lakers' offensive system. Night after night, Reaves showed that he belonged on the court with some of the best players in the league. He wasn't just a role player filling in the gaps. He was making plays, taking over games, and proving that he could be a foundational piece of a championship contender. And yet, when the NBA officially announced the 3 finalists for this year's Most Improved Player award, Austin Reaves' name was nowhere to be found. Instead, the league chose Cade Cunningham, Ivica Zubac, and Dyson Daniels. And fans across the NBA community were left stunned, confused, disappointed. How does a guy who went undrafted, worked his way up from a 2-way contract, and became a full-time starter on one of the most competitive and storied franchises in NBA history, not even make the shortlist? Let's break down just how much Austin Reaves accomplished this season. Reaves averaged 20.2 points per game, 5.8 assists, 4.5 rebounds, and 1.1 steals. He shot 46% from the field, 37.7% from beyond the arc, and an elite 87.7% from the free throw line. He played in 73 games, averaging 34 minutes per night. And in one of his most memorable performances, against the Indiana Pacers, he exploded for a career-high 45 points, leading the Lakers to victory without LeBron or Luka on the floor. He didn't just step up, he took over. But beyond the box score, it's the context that makes Reaves' rise even more remarkable. This is a guy who wasn't even selected in the NBA draft. No teams believed enough in him on draft night to call his name. He started his career on a 2-way contract, the kind of deal that rarely leads to stardom. He had to fight for every second of playing time. Nothing was handed to him. That's what makes his journey so inspiring. And frankly, that's exactly what the Most Improved Player award is supposed to recognize. Players who have gone from the margins to the spotlight, through hard work, persistence, and undeniable production. But for some reason, the NBA chose to reward a different kind of storyline this year. Cade Cunningham had a great year. No one's denying that. He helped lead the Pistons back to the playoffs and posted impressive stats. But Cade was the #1 overall pick in his draft class. This kind of development wasn't just expected, it was assumed. He had every resource, every opportunity, and every spotlight placed on him from the moment he entered the league. His improvement, while real, lacks the shock and inspiration that Reaves does. Ivica Zubac, solid big man. Great defensive presence. A reliable double-double machine. But his game hasn't fundamentally changed. He's grown within his role, but he hasn't made the kind of leap that redefines a career. Dyson Daniels, promising young talent. But does anyone seriously believe he had a more impactful season than Reaves? Was he the third scoring option on a title-contending team? Did he lead his squad without its superstars and drop 40+? The answer is no. What we're seeing here isn't just a snub. It's a systemic oversight. A reflection of how the league often overlooks players who weren't groomed from the start to be stars. Players who didn't come from elite college programs or enter the league with hype and big contracts. Austin Reaves represents every player who was told they weren't good enough. Every kid who didn't get picked first, or picked at all. Every athlete who had to carve their own path and beat the odds with heart and hustle. And let's not forget the media spotlight he carried this year. Reaves wasn't just productive, he was clutch. He was magnetic. He was watchable. Fans rallied behind him. Analysts praised his IQ, his toughness, and his fearlessness in big moments. But apparently, none of that was enough. Maybe it's a flaw in how the award is defined. Maybe the voters are too focused on raw stats or previous draft pedigree. Maybe there's still a bias that favors players who were always supposed to be stars. But if the Most Improved Player award doesn't reward someone like Reaves, then what exactly is it rewarding? One can't help but wonder if he had been drafted 10th or 15th or even 30th, would his season be viewed differently? Would his leap be taken more seriously? It's frustrating. It's disheartening. And it sends the wrong message, that no matter how hard you work, how much you produce, or how inspiring your story is, it still might not be enough if you weren't part of the league's plan from day one. Here's what we know about Austin Reaves. He's not chasing validation. He's chasing wins. He's chasing banners. And while this moment might sting, you can bet it'll fuel him even more. Because he's not done. Not even close. And if the NBA didn't want to recognize him this time, he'll just make it impossible to ignore him next time. Let's be clear. Austin Reaves should have been a finalist. And leaving him off the list, that's not just a snub. That's a mistake. At first glance, it might sound like just another wild playoff rumor. But as the dust settles from Game 1 of the Bucks-Pacers series, and Milwaukee finds itself in yet another troubling spot, the whispers are starting to grow louder. And what was once just fantasy is beginning to feel a little more possible. Let's set the scene. The Bucks just took a brutal loss in Game 1, falling 117-98 to the Indiana Pacers. Yes, Giannis did his part, dropping 36 points, pulling down 12 boards, and swatting 2 shots. But even that wasn't enough to keep his team afloat. Damian Lillard was sidelined. 2 other starters didn't score a single point. The offense sputtered. The defense fell apart. And worst of all, Milwaukee looked lost. This wasn't just a bad game. This was a sign of something deeper, something more serious. The kind of loss that makes you wonder, is this the end of an era? It's been 3 full seasons since Milwaukee won it all in 2021. And since then, a lot of playoff frustration. A lot of early exits. And not a whole lot of progress. Now, with Giannis turning 31 next season, there's a growing sense that time is running out, fast. This is a player who's given everything to this franchise. 2 MVPs. A championship. A Defensive Player of the Year. He's done it all. But what he wants now is simple, to win. And not just regular season games or moral victories. He wants rings. Legacy. Greatness. And if Milwaukee can't give him that, well, the Lakers just might. You see, Los Angeles has been quietly putting together something very interesting. Luka Doncic, the European superstar with a game beyond his years, is already there. J.J. Redick is bringing a fresh, modern approach to coaching. LeBron James still has gas in the tank. Austin Reaves has emerged as one of the best young guards in the league. Rui Hachimura brings size, defense, and energy. And Rob Pelinka. He's always ready to make the big move when it matters most. Now imagine all of that, and then add Giannis. It would be a seismic shift in the NBA. Not just a new Big Three. Not just another super team. But potentially the first true European-led dynasty in league history. Luka and Giannis, 2 international icons, 2 MVP-caliber players, anchoring a franchise that's already won 17 championships. The Lakers would become the most global, most talked about, most feared team in the entire league. Hollywood dreams? Maybe. But suddenly, they don't seem that far-fetched. Of course, a deal for Giannis wouldn't come cheap. The Bucks would want major assets. And the first name on their list? Austin Reaves. He's had the best season of his young career, stepped up when the team needed him, and proven he can be a cornerstone piece. If Milwaukee is forced to rebuild, they'd need someone like Reaves to help lead the way. The Lakers also have other assets to offer. Draft picks, expiring contracts, young players. It wouldn't be easy, but the pieces are there. The motivation is there. And the moment might be getting close. Insiders like Shams Charania have already hinted that Giannis's priority is no longer just staying loyal, it's winning. And if the Bucks crash out early again, that priority could lead him to explore options that once seemed off the table. For Giannis, LA would be more than a change of scenery. It would be a chance to join a team with real championship DNA. A chance to build something bigger than himself. A chance to rewrite what it means to be an international superstar in the NBA. And for the Lakers, it would be the move of the decade. They've done this before. They brought in Shaq. They landed Pau Gasol. They signed LeBron. This franchise knows how to swing big and win big. So if Milwaukee stumbles again, and if Giannis starts looking for something new, don't be surprised if the Lakers are already waiting at the door. Because in Los Angeles, the lights are always on, the stars are always shining, and the next chapter of NBA history is always just one blockbuster trade away.